Welcome back to ShopDog-Garage. ShopDog's inside with Mama. It's hot out. It's actually kind of warm in here, but I don't feel like kicking the air on. Today, we'll get back at working this out. This turned out to be a little more complicated than we had hoped, but that's okay. You're always the proudest of the hardest problems once you finally solve them. So, we'll get back on that and getting things turned all back on. Got to get some entertainment going. And then I've been asked by a couple people now. No, I haven't really started working on this yet. I need to get kind of set up. But I'm hoping in the next couple weeks that I can start attacking the rocket ship again. And unfortunately, at some point, we do have to pull all the AC lines out of this and recrimp them. Not looking forward to that. But for now, let's focus on an awesome thing. We're going to solve this problem today. Well, I don't know if you guys remember that little aluminum plate that came with this. I'll be darned if I can find it. I don't know what I did with it. I've been in my office. I've been around the house. Been to the toy room. Been everywhere. So it's just evaporated. It'll turn up later when I don't need it. Sounds like we're actually going to finally get some rain. So that would be nice. But what I'm doing right now is trying to determine a couple locating points. And if you recall, we were doing a little bit of CAD. Well, I need to go a little more than that. So I've actually made a fuse box. And now I'm starting to pretend this is material. How am I going to bend it? Where am I going to mount it? How are we going to get it where it needs to be? So this is where I'm at right now. So there's our two mounting points. We're looking in at this, so that sits right there. This is going to become some kind of tab, but I'm not sure about that. So for the beginning, we're just going to leave it rough, and I'm probably just going to do a temp glue to something like that just to give it a little stiffness. But it's so much easier to trim paper than it is metal. We haven't gotten much rain this year, so it's just nice hearing this storm coming in. Hopefully there's no hail, but it'd be nice to get a little bit of actual moisture in the ground. Seen a lot of lightning, hearing a lot of thunder. Alright, so at the moment we have the glove box in, just so I really know. I have our little template up with some updated markings on it. What I'm going to do next is, actually I think I'll go get these as well, because I know there's a space here. I'm going to check and make sure that all that's going to fit the way I want it to. If it does, then I think we might be on the right track. Another thing, obviously we're going to hog out a lot of that middle, and I think a lot of the wiring will go straight up and up into this cavity away from the wiper. Well, we'll get that sorted. All right, let's pretend the wire has all been managed already, and we did something like that. These will be final determined later. That gives us plenty of room for the harness to kind of come off. Okay, so this is in the car. It's going to come off this way over that heater. I can make a little shield for the top of the heater. That's not an issue. And, you know, we can probably even come up with an area. Actually, because of the shape of the glove box, I don't think that's even necessary. Somewhere this would be against that heater. This obviously would use those same screws. Will be fun to put in, but I might be able to like put some nutserts on this plate and come in through. We'll deal with that. That's not the big thing. The bigger problem is making sure that this doesn't actually hit. So I'll put another can in here. We may be trimming this a little. I mean, we're talking a little bit, but easier to do that because it's plastic. So you can see I've already started trimming over here. It is what it is. This should be ever so slightly, the glove box will be right here. But you can see this is already getting kind of complicated. I've got a bend there that'll be almost 90. A bend here that I think is something like 32, 33 degrees. And then an ever so slight bend here to correspond with that so that it's in plane with the dash. And then what will most likely happen, like I said, is we'll have nutserts here. It'll lay over. Screws will go through. We'll get that sorted. I think I might have a spot. I'd like to do a little more test fitting, but I've got to move some wires to do that. It's under a fair bit of stress. All right. I have been upside down. I may turn the air on in a minute. It is getting kind of gross in here, but I think I have something that might work. Now you'll note I have the ashtray kind of installed. It's not completely installed. I'm missing one screw, but you can see where it hangs. And then the original hole I had marked here, that's too far forward. Now that we're actually mounted, which of course is, why we do this out of paper. But you can see I've made 2 tick marks showing me how much further back it's got to go. Okay, don't get sick. Okay, we're upside down. So you can see, well, okay, where are you guys at? You're in the wrong spot. Okay, there you go. Now when you look way up there, you can see if we move back, I think we're going to be okay. The one flasher is going to be a nightmare to get at, but that is what it is. Because this will sit more like that. But I think we can make it work, especially if I can hog just the tiniest bit off that flasher body. You can see it's contacting right there. But honestly, I don't think that's going to be the end of the world. Let me slide the glove box in real quick. So see, we may wind up having a little dinky right there, but let's put this where we thought we had to be, which is roughly right there. So changing some of this stuff won't be fun, but I think I can make this fit. Now, oh, sorry, that's a lot of light. And then you can see up here, well, maybe you can see up here, kind of taking your access to light away. Let me grab one. I should be able to make something that just lays right over that heater to make a wiring trough. And we'll keep it away from there. Yeah, so one of the next things I'll have to do is temp mount the Dakota, make sure how much space I've got. But we should be able to make a little tray back there for wiring to gutter on. No problem. I think we have a solution. I'm going to have a cold snack. Alright. I don't know that I need to send this off. I think I can just plasma something, get it close enough, and whittle it down, make it work. This is pretty thick, so we'll see. I may still wind up sending something out, but let's see if we can just make this local. A very, very rough cut pulled off. Let's go clean it up on the magic wheel, because boy, this thing sure does everything. Okay, so we're roughed in. I don't have any holes drilled, and some of this can be refined. Remember, we want to move these holes down and out a little, so I left plenty of room, but we won't drill them yet. Also, if you recall, that was our original guess. This is what we wound up with. So if I come up here, you'll see that's right on this point. I think I'm going to have to bend this first before I can even get this in to figure out where the arc can be. I know it's going to be in here, I just don't know how far. Then a few test fits and we're getting pretty close. That's that angle from above the ashtray, and that's not crooked, that's intentional. The thing we're going to mount it to in the back is got a dip in it. So I think I'm going to go ahead and remove a little more material here and maybe a little right here. I haven't decided yet. This is pretty stiff. I mean, I'm not too worried about strength here. Just trying to give myself plenty of room, but also make it easy to install. Okay, I don't know how on earth I could get that any more shaped. I hope that's showing up. Let's see, that's where we would mount up there, and then we would put 2 nutserts in this duct for 2 screws, and then that would be very solid. Very, very solid. I don't want to locate those holes until it's mounted, and then I can verify where everything goes. But I think I have a bracket. Okay, so here's our riv nuts. You don't normally get to see how those come out, so There's our rib nuts, and you can see they line up pretty stinking good. And that's for a 1024, which is a good size screw. So unfortunately, right now we have a threaded boss in the dash. We won't in a minute. Just turn the music down a little bit. Some lady doing some covers of some 80s music. It's pretty good. Anyway, what do you think of that? I've got this mounted. Now these aren't the screws I'll use. I'll get some number 10s that look nice, because those are visible when the ashtray's open. That one is not, which is good because this paint is flaked. I'm probably going to change how I've got it mounted for now, but right now I've got self-tappers in there. And I don't know if you can see just how strong that is, but that's pretty stinking sturdy. So I haven't drilled the holes for that because, of course, to do that, I have to take it all back apart because you can't, I don't have all the wiring bundled and I don't want to pass it all through that hole yet. See how I just got it all temp bundled off to the side? So I got to pull it, get the fuse box in there, get it back in there, and then that can be marked. I don't know if that's tonight or not. It's getting kind of late, but I'm pretty happy. I think I have a solution I like. That took a few minutes. This is going to be my closeout. Look at this. I hope this shows real good. Look at that. So, be plenty of room to gutter wires around. Plus, we'll put some soft edging along that. Let me come under here. You're upside down. Sorry about that. So am I. But you can see I left myself plenty of room. Also, we did trim that a little bit. That, see, that gets us that little bit. So we now will be able to get in there and actually, you know, some of the fuses, well, actually, power windows that we're not even using is the only fuse that would be a real nightmare, and we're not using it. So I don't even care about it. Sweet. So, oh, sorry. Oh, yeah, that's a pretty neat light I made there. I'll show you what I did. I bought a bunch of these cheap LED lights, and then I just put magnets on them, and then you just pop them in. Yeah, I'll show you the one back here. It's pretty easy to get at. You can see how it's in there, and you know, just runs on electricity. You know, nothing to it. But see, just taped on some magnets. Actually, they're epoxied and taped, but then you just find some metal somewhere and stick them in there. This has been running all night, and it's not even hot. So yeah, digging those. That one's at 5000K. It's a little white. That's okay. So yeah, I've got 2 of them up here, and I've got a few more. I'm thinking of putting 2 in each bay, but I've got some more magnets on order. So those are pretty slick. That's actually helped quite a bit. LED lighting sure is nice. These have been running all night, and they're not even hot. So that is how we're going to solve that. I've got 3 days invested in figuring this out. I'm actually quite happy with the bracket I made. That's going to work perfectly. There's a lot of compound angles in that to make it all line up, but I'm very, very, very happy with it. It's going to be very strong. And then what we're going to do, once we know where the holes are for that, we'll put rib nuts in that as well. I think I may actually even just weld a nut on there as soon as I figure out what I want to do. The hardware that was originally meant to be used with it, obviously, but it had access to both sides. That plate is still gone. Don't know what happened to it. It's got to be in my house somewhere. But yeah, so this is a Triumphant 55 video in which I now finally know where the fuse box is going to go. It's definitely going to cause some issues with a couple circuits. I'm really hopeful that the light switch reaches, because that one wouldn't be fun to extend. Obviously the ignition switch is not going to be an issue, or the steering column or anything like that. Thank God we're using the Dakota dash, because I'm sure you'll note it is nowhere near as deep. I don't know where I set it. Oh, literally right here. So a factory dash would go way back with a bunch of blisters and stuff, you know, for the gauges. But this is considerably shallower. That hopefully makes all the difference in the world for me. I don't recommend placing this the way we did, but I do recommend the way we did it. This is always the way. Little cardboard. In fact, for fancy brackets, after the cardboard, hey, pop on the laser or the 3D printer or something. Cut something out that's cheap and easy to change. Go to the steel at the end. It's harder to work and way more expensive. So what'd this cost me? 10 cents off the floor? You know, what'd that piece of steel I used cost? I think that piece of steel was 15 bucks. So, you know, that's the way you want to do that. Anyway, it's dark out. I'm tired. It is probably past my bedtime and definitely past my dessert time. Got a little cleanup to do. Not a ton, you know how it is around here. So, anyway, thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I don't know why you guys are watching, but I'm glad you do. Hopefully this has been fun. Anyway, have a good night.